tumekuja chokoza, usidhani nimepata nafasi. Tumekuja chokoza, usidhani.
Right, once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Riara University Career Fair Day 2. And very quickly, I'd like us to just go through what we had yesterday for the Riara University Career Fair Day 1. We started with a keynote address from Professor Nicholas Letting, who gave us a keynote on thriving in a multi-skilled world. The CEO of CASNEB was gracious enough to give us the keynote to start us off after the Vice Chancellor had given us his opening remarks. We also had 3 panel discussions, one on law, international relations, and global prospects, and then we had another one on business, emerging technology, and investments, and then we had a panel discussion on media and the creative space as well. And then in the afternoon, we had a hands-on workshop presented by Absa Bank, which was for their Ready to Work program. For those who are here, you were taken through the modules and the app that they have. We'd like to appreciate our main sponsors for the event, which is the ICA Lion, Nairobi Securities Exchange, Mozilla Foundation, and Absa Bank. So I don't want to take any much more of your time because I see who you're here to see is already here. I'm going to welcome Pauline, who's going to give the next part of the program. Thank you.
I don't deserve a hand clap. Ama mmenizoea. I know this is not the face you want to see, so I'll make it quick. Good morning. How are you doing? Are you excited for day 2? What are we talking about today? Huh? What are we talking about? Kuna exam. I'm kidding. So today we're talking about gig economy, flexi work, and all of that. If you understand gig economy, which we'll be talking about throughout the day, so there'll be different definitions of the same. So I don't want to get into defining it because we have speakers here today to do that. Are we excited? All right. So I'm here to do something, introduce our speaker for the day, for this session before we get into the next, which is the panel discussion. And I hope I do justice to this introduction. I hope I don't massacre it. All right, so our next speaker is none other than Avril. Simnani late, but it's fine. We will discuss this wageni wakienda. So Avril is a singer, songwriter, and actress. I know most of you have seen her on your screens. You've seen her maybe in passing, in gigs, in events, but today you're going to see her in person. I don't want to say much about her because I don't want to lie. I want her to do that honor of telling us what she's doing currently, what the plans are in the near future, and why she's in Riara, and why she accepted our invitation. So without further ado, without much further ado, please give a round of applause to our next speaker, Avril. Karibu sana.
I'm seeing an orange mic and a blue mic. I'll use the orange mic, it's okay. Hi guys, how are you? So this is not my domain, kukamkongelesha wase. I sing for a living. So when I'm on stage, I just know I'm supposed to sing. My name is Nyambura Mwangi. You all know me as Avril. I was told by so many of you, you've listened to me from when you were 2. Wow. I've been in the game for quite some time. And guess what? I started my career when I was seated right somewhere like this. very many years ago. My career started in the second year of university. I used to run on stage, then go back to my room so that I could finish my thesis for my finals and all this stuff. So it's possible to start careers at any age, yeah? And that is what I feel like the gig economy has been able to equip us with. I'm a singer, I'm a songwriter, I'm a recording and performing artist, I'm an actress, I am a mother. I should have started with mom, because that's the toughest one, yeah? I have a 7-year-old at RRPS. Some of you I know came through the entire journey, yeah? So it's such an honor and a privilege to be here. I'm an entrepreneur in my own right, in the service industry, and now in the product industry, because I own a line of personal care products called My Everything by Avril. And guess what? It started from school. It started from when I had an interest about product design. And product design is actually a degree that I have from the University of Nairobi. So nikisimama hapa msinione ati sijui mimi sijana kampo. And that's the misconception I feel like a lot of people have, that you do not need a proper education in the sectors that we're in. That it's okay, unaweza acha shule and then, all this stuff is going to work out. No. Why? Because you have to know how to represent yourself in this space. You have to know how to protect your intellectual property, because I'm at an intersection of the creative economy and the digital economy. I stumbled into the digital economy. Why? Because, hey, I got the numbers and people came and they told me, hi, because of the numbers that you have on social media. I started by the, hey, proper Kenyan, I started my career very long time ago. We didn't even have Facebook. Yesterday I went for an event and Necessary Noise was on stage and we didn't have YouTube then. How crazy is that? Why I'm bringing that point across is because in these industries that we're in, you have to be on the know about what's happening in every space as quickly as possible. It's a chap kind of space. So you have to be very, very equipped. I'm supposed to speak about the gig economy, flexi work. Again, I said I am at an intersection of the creative economy and the digital economy, which makes me typically a freelancer. But that doesn't mean that I do not follow each and every single thing that the 9-to-5s do. In fact, I feel like each and every single person who's in this space is an entrepreneur in their own right. You have to manage your time very well. You have to manage your finances very well. You have to know how does corporate structure fit in my structure, so that KRA don't come and ask, hey, ulilipwa na hii club, ulilipwa na hii club, ulilipwa na hii club, ulilipwa huku. Why aren't you filing? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? So regardless of the fact that you're in an economy that is very freelance, in fact, we created this economy, didn't we? If you look at the digital space, we don't even have support from Gava. Please tell me if it's not just them taking a digital tax from it, but tell me which structures they've put across, yeah? Structures, but we keep on, and that's the beauty of this space. It evolves at such an interesting pace because it just finds its way. It finds its way. It's very aligned. It's very algorithm-based, very algorithm-led, isn't it? I don't have much to say. I'll wait for the panel so that we can be able to talk about the gig economy, about flexi work, but I go back to just because you're in a freelance space, just because you're choosing a creative space, just because you're choosing to be on the digital space, does not mean that you do not need to equip yourself in education. You have to equip yourself with education. You have to equip yourself with knowledge. Yeah? I remember when I was in uni, our lecturers used to tell us, go and read about, go and read about, go and read about, go and read about, go and read about. So that you can have your own understanding, you can have your own school of thought. Right now we have AI. When I was coming here, I was like, by the way, Hi, CPT. What is this gig economy? What is this thing that they're calling the gig economy? Because am I in the gig economy or am I in the creative economy? But I am in the gig economy because of the flexibility of my work and all this stuff. Sitasema mengi kwa sasa. Naomba tafadhali, I hand over back to you. And let's just have a fun chat. If you guys have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. And we shall be here. I hope I made sense. Yeah? Sijui tuimbe ama tuimbe after. Nawashwa, naangalia angani, mawingu yamejaa. It looks like rain is coming. Ai, lakini ni age appropriate, ngoja kiasi. Tumekuja chokoza. Ai, amfai kuwa mnajua hizo ngoma. Nikimuona Apana, hawafai kufanya hivyo. I sang these songs when I was in love. Which other song would I like to sing? No, I'll sing later. Thank you so much, guys. And thank you for having me, Riara University. I'm so glad to be here, especially because I have a child in Riara and I cannot wait to see him here at some point in time.
Another round of applause for Avril, please. Thank you for honoring us with your presence. I see most of us grew up listening to you, me included. Yeah, maybe. We'd like to take this opportunity to recognize the presence of our panelists who have also arrived. I see Jane is here. A round of applause for Jane, please. That loud applause is because Jane is also a student at Riara University. Can you please have the roll-up for the upcoming panel so that we can give them proper recognition before they come on stage? Thank you. So we have Pauline Kimeu, who's just stepped out. She's our head of marketing. We have Avril, who's just given us a keynote address. Thank you for keeping time, by the way. We have Miss Alice Kavata, who's here with us as well. And then we have, finally, Miss Jean Ojiro, who's a media influencer, content creator, and brand ambassador. So the title for this panel is going to be Creating Opportunities from Ideas to Impact and Navigating the Gig Economy and Flexi Work. I hope you guys have your questions ready. You have your voices ready as well. Hopefully Avril will sing after the panel. And then I think we can start off. I'd like to call them to the stage. So I'll start with Avril. I'll start with Avril and then we can go to Alice. And then finally, Jean can take the stage. All right.
Thank you very much, Caleb. Should I sit next to you, Jean? Yeah. Or I sit at this far corner. Good morning again. Okay, so you guys are going to help me do this today, yeah? And then I'll sing. No. You really don't want to hear me singing. All right, we'll just get into it. Scholar, you've really said yes to that one. I'm offended. All right, so my name is Pauline Kimeu. I know some of you have seen me around. I've been in Riara for this is actually my 5th year. I joined Riara in the peak just before COVID. And then 3 weeks later, COVID hit and we shut down. So when we shut down, I was 3 weeks old as a staff member in Riara. So those of you who said there were no jobs during COVID, well, I had one, okay? And I kept it up until now. I enjoy what I do. My background is actually in communication. And then I ended up in marketing. Those go hand in hand. I enjoy what I do. I actually love what I do. If they say if you love what you do, you don't have to work a day in your life. So I suggest start enjoying what you're doing. Otherwise, you run out of gas very quickly. So I'm going to get right into it. We're not going to take long because I want us to have a conversation and for you guys to also have an opportunity to ask questions to the panel. First of all, let's clap for an all-female panel. Woo-hoo! It just happened. It wasn't intentional. We have nothing against the boy child in the gig economy. Tuliwaita wakashaya we wengine, some were busy, but we are happy to have Kavata and Avril and Jin heed to our call and have them here. So what I'm going to start off with, the gig economy, that's what we want to talk about today. What are the opportunities, the challenges, and the future of work? Because truth be told, work doesn't look the same anymore, right? Do you agree with me? It doesn't look the same anymore. So I'm thinking as an institution, as an industry, academia, what are we doing to get ready? Because I feel like the next generation, and even you guys that are here now, going out into the world of work, and those who are coming to us, expect a very different way of learning. And that's why we are very intentional about having such things as career fairs, where we have inclusivity of every industry represented to bridge that gap between academia and industry. Because we don't just want to teach you and tick a box, right? We want to teach you and get you ready for the industry, exactly the industry that you're interested in. The theme this year is actually thriving in a multi-skilled world. I don't know if Wanja is here. A quick wave. Pole, nitakumulika kidogo. I'm just going to use Eliane as an example. She's a communication multimedia journalism student, and at the same time, fourth year, Wanja? Same time she's doing law at UON. Third year? Fourth year. Wow. So this is just an example of what I'm talking about. And that's why we are saying you don't have to be boxed in one thing. You're multi-skilled. Matter you want to be a lawyer, you still want to be a creative. That's what we want to talk about. How can you do all of that? You want to be an entrepreneur, you want to be an engineer within a space of creativity. Those are the things we want to talk about. So this morning, I have the privilege to welcome three lovely ladies to you, but I'm gonna ask each of them to introduce themselves. Tell just in a few words, maybe, just tell us what you do and why you're seated on this panel. Yeah, maybe we can start with that. What you do and why you're in Riara, or what is the relationship with Riara, if there's any.
Okay. Good morning. Good morning. My name is Kavata. I'm an alumni of Riara University. And so it brings a lot of joy just to be here and to appreciate what my journey has been like. I work as a finance consultant. My degree was in finance. And what that means, it's in two aspects. I serve individuals in the finance space, but I also serve businesses to help them look at their money and make informed decisions in terms of the monies they have and where they are going with their businesses. Yeah.
Thank you. Round of applause.
Good morning. My name is Jean Ojiro. I am a model, a content creator, and most importantly, I'm a student here at Riara University, and I am in the School of Communication and Multimedia Journalism, and I'm very excited to be here today.
Awesome. You see, we have a representation of a current student. She's making waves out there. So, karibuni sana. I'm going to jump into my first question, and this is to Avril. How's the gig economy shaped entrepreneurship? I remember you said you're an entrepreneur. So how has the gig economy shaped entrepreneurship in Kenya? And what opportunities do you see for young innovators?
Yeah. I feel like we have way too many young people getting into the job market for it not to expand. It has to expand by force, by fire. And the gig economy has been able to do that for us, because now we are not looking at careers. I remember even having a conversation with an early child development teacher, and I was asking her whether it would be possible for her to think about the digital space so that she could be able to equip. I know Riara does that, but for her, being in Nakuru, they haven't yet explored such things. I feel like technology, flexi work, all the apps that we're able to create are creating so many opportunities. So how it's been able to shape entrepreneurship. The gig economy gives you flexibility, gives you barriers that you're able to, not just imagine breaking, but actually breaking. So how it's shaped entrepreneurship, it's first and foremost remove the notion that we only need to be doctors, teachers. But then again, we can be doctors in different capacities. We can have healthcare apps. We can have tech people who are thinking about how they can be able to revolutionize finance in the healthcare space. We've been having a whole, conversation, countrywide conversation about that. There's a finance person who's looking at education. How can we be able to? So it's been able to also integrate a lot of economies, a lot of careers. And I love that, because when we're starting this conversation, we said multi-skilled world right now. So you don't just sit back and say, I'm going to be an artist and that's it. I'm going to be an artist and I'm going to use my artistry to do this, to do that. I'm attending a tech expo. Is it really an expo? It's a tech, I hope you guys are going to be there, by the way. It's called Latitude. I'm going to attend that, and the reason why I'm attending that is because I want to see how I can be able to get music into not just DSPs, not just distribution, using technology for distribution, but what else can we be able to do in that space? So we have a new breed of entrepreneurs. We have a new breed of people who don't honestly need to work a 9 to 5, who honestly do not need to go to the office. They're working from their beds. Yeah, we hate it, but we have to come to terms with it because we have to wake up and leave. We have a completely different type of entrepreneur who has access to money so quickly. Yeah, at the ages, when I went for the last Latitude, I felt like the oldest person in the room, because it was just a group of 20-year-olds who had brilliant ideas. And money was just available for them to have brilliant ideas. So we keep on saying, oh, there's no money, but it just feels like there's a more creative group of young people who are stepping into the market, knowing very well that the opportunities that were there are so jam-packed, and they have to create opportunities for themselves. And that's how it has shaped entrepreneurship right now, in my opinion.
Thank you so much. I think what I'm getting from that is it has also removed the boxes of I just have to be a doctor and that's it. I'll be a doctor from day one until...
We're thinking in, out, around, over and above the box now.
Absolutely. Maybe I can hear from Kavata on the same question. How do you think the gig economy has kind of shaped entrepreneurship from a finance perspective?
I think when I studied finance here, my expectation was I would work in an investment firm, for example, or I would work at a bank, or a stockbroker, whatever, But I think part of the learning allowed me to open up my mind and to see the gaps that are there. And I remember a particular class Dr. Kinoti taught us, and it's very interesting. It was down here, yet a lot of our finance classes were up there. It was a personal finance class that only finance major students were taking. But what were we being taught? We were being taught how to budget. We were being taught to have a personal balance sheet, an income statement as an individual. And I remember sitting there and wondering, why isn't this a university common unit? Because all of us are handling money. You know what I mean, right? And for me, that's where the idea of teaching people how to handle their money came. All right, so I come to school, I want to work in the investment space, but my mind is opened up to, there's a gap, all right? All of us, whatever space we are in, handle money. And so then how do I leverage on the skills that I have and be able to earn from it? And because I love finance, I'm excited doing it. So for me, I saw an opportunity just by what I picked up from here. Yeah.
So I hear there was an opportunity created within the finance space as you were studying.
Yes.
You saw a gap, you jumped into it.
Yes.
And I think what the space you're in is almost, if I may call it disruptive,
Yes.
because you didn't follow the path that was typical.
Absolutely. And I have to say also, I have worked, I have been employed, okay? And that also adds to it, so that then when I am talking about your typical investment products, I'm a product of having worked in a typical 9 to 5, all right? And then I borrow from that, and it helps me then to serve you better in terms of the work that I do. It wasn't a typical curve again, because I started with how do we teach children about money, okay? So that's where I started and created a product, and approached parents and said, hey, your children will spend money at some point, but they need to know how to use this money. Created a program, used the networks around me to help get me my first clients, train these kids, wrote a book in the process, a story that kids can use to learn about money. And so it's not a typical curve that you'd expect, but then you earn from it and you enjoy doing it, and it keeps diversifying, I have to say. It's not a straight line, because that gives birth to, oh, I can also talk to adults, you know. I can also talk to businesses. So it's not a straight line. However, it started at that finance degree. Yeah.
Absolutely. I remember when I was trying to figure out how to teach my son matters finance or matters money handling. And the best idea I came up with was Monopoly. And we played Monopoly, and in my head I was thinking, God, I'm really parenting, eh? Yeah. In my element, teaching about money. Yeah. So, but you see, that's the space we're talking about, because you saw a gap where children are handling money now, and later, instead of us having to teach them how to do that later on in life, she's come up with a program that is kid-friendly on how to teach children to handle money. All right, Jean, how do you think gig economy has influenced the entrepreneurship space or entrepreneurship?
So from my perspective, I feel like it's so dynamic. The gig economy is so dynamic, and for me personally, no two days look alike. So the biggest influence is that it leads you to really push yourself, because kautajituma, then there's nothing that's going to come for you. So you really, really need to work hard and push yourself. You need to market yourself. You know, every time you see someone, you're like, na unikumbuke. When you're doing the next thing, please have me in mind. I've seen you guys are doing this. Is there space? So you really, really have to get out of your shell, as Avril has pointed out, and you need to truly push yourself. Yeah. Yes.
When Jean says ujitume, if there's somebody ujituma, it's Jean. Because from the very first day Jean stepped foot into this campus, we knew she has arrived. We knew. There was no ignoring her. So it's either you had to give her a gig or you don't come to Riara. Either way, you're going to see her, you're going to engage her. And I'm happy to say that as Riara, we've engaged Jean several times to just promote the product and promote the service, and it's been amazing. Ikwa free. Hatukumlipa na experience. No, we didn't. Because for us, if we are going to teach appreciating skill and appreciating what everybody is doing, there's a reward for it and there's payment for it, and people are making money and are living out of this. So I feel for me it's a way of respect, you know, for us as an institution to recognize a student who is doing something in the industry and say, look, we recognize what you're doing, we want that service, tuma rate card. Alitutumia rate card na haikuwa ndogo.
Yeah, I definitely feel extremely supported by the university. As you've said, we've worked together not once, not twice, and I'm so happy you've brought it up because one hii semester, so nikumbuke. And even just having me on this panel is also a form of support. And the university as a whole supports so many different students in different ways. Like if there's a graphic designer, that's the person who's going to design all of our leaflets, etc. whenever we have events. When we have photographers, videographers, all the ones you see around are students here at the university. So I'm extremely glad that I came to this university because you support us so much.
I'm so happy to hear that. Guys, mjitume, we say this in orientation, you think we are kidding. It actually bears results. You know, for us who've been here for a while and we've actually seen a student from the beginning until they graduate, and then we are seeing them what they're doing in industry right now. And some of them what they're doing in industry right now, you remember, those are some of the things they used to do while they're in campus. They just grew that skill while they were in campus, because in campus you're supported. And we connect you to industry, we link you to industry. Because I'm telling you the truth, you get out of campus, you go there and try and meet some of these CEOs. Then you come back, you're like, that guy was in my campus that day, giving a talk, and I didn't attend it. Please attend guest lectures, okay? And career fairs. All right, I'll quickly move to our next question, and this is for you, Alice. What strategies can gig workers use to manage irregular income, save, and maybe plan for the future?
All right. I was going to give an example. She said something that triggered a thought. Could I go there first?
No, sure, you can.
When she talked about kujituma, I remember how I sort of transitioned to having clients that are adults. Was a LinkedIn post by a guy who said, are you a finance trainer? And are you interested and are you able to train on ABCD? I had never trained adults, okay? So I had the content, but I had never trained. But I reached out because they said reach out. And after reaching out, I said what I've been able to do so far, and I did a series of interviews. I got into their, and I've been able to do a couple of trainings just because of that. And so I feel like in this space, it is important that you put yourself out there, not because you have all your cards aligned. What you don't know, you can learn on the go, all right? And I think that came up when she shared that. All right, please, what was the question?
The question was, but I'm glad you forgot the question, because sometimes I think I'm the only one who forgets. I'm very young, by the way. So the question was, what strategies can gig workers work to manage irregular income, save, and plan for the future?
All right, thank you. So the truth is, the characteristics of working in the gig economy is that income is not regular, so to speak, okay? So you can have a very good month, the business cycle is the same, all right? Or a month that's not very good. But then how you manage your finances then becomes very critical, so that then the highs can cover for the low periods, okay? Now, when we talk about strategies, they come from a backdrop of you have a plan, all right? You develop strategies because you have a plan, you have financial goals that you have set that you want to meet as an individual, and then you come up with the strategies. So one of the things that's key to do, and I've seen perhaps work for me, is being able to separate yourself from the gig, okay? So that then if I come to Riara University, I have some work I do for them, that I don't count that as my salary, okay? I count it as revenue that the business has made and the business pays me, okay? So now when I draw a salary from the money I've made, because this business coming to Riara required that I incur some cost, transport for example, all right? For you to know about what I do, perhaps I've done some marketing. And so if I have this check, then I separate my accounts. I know that I have earned, I am drawing salary X. And this is remaining here to cater, say, for tax, because you'll file returns at some point, so you're saving towards that, marketing, etc. So separation becomes very important, so that the lines are not blurred, and so that it doesn't feel like you don't eat it all up, for lack of a better way to put it. Okay. The other thing is to ensure, because the income is not regular, that you build up your emergency fund. Okay, so that in the days where you have a dip, then that is able to cater for you. All right, the emergency fund, they recommend that if you are employed, would be up to 6 months worth of your expenses, monthly expenses. If you are in the gig economy, that's up to 9 months. Remember, we said you're doing all this from the backdrop of a plan that you have. So part of your short-term plan could be, let me build up an emergency fund, okay? So that if I don't get a client this month, but I got a big fat check last month, it's able to cater for that, okay? And the typical place you can place that money would be in your money market funds, because it's liquid. They invest in liquid assets. You're able to access your money typically in 3 days, 1 day, depending on where you have put your money, and you're able to have your money work for you and access it in case of an emergency. It has to be very clear for you then, defining what an emergency is. Remember, you don't have regular income, right? And so there are things that are not emergencies, right? For example, if there's a party and you've been invited and you don't have an outfit, the outfit is not an emergency. So you don't draw from your emergency fund for things that are not emergencies. And that's why working with a plan helps, because I can come to Avril and say, I'm going through ABC. Do you have some funds? Avril will look at her plan and it's like, yes, there are some funds, but it's for high emergency. So that, let not my poor planning cause you to dip into your emergency funds, okay? And because we are African and we love one another, sometimes it can feel that there is need to give, or maybe they will feel bad. But if your friendship is based on that, maybe we need to check who our friends are, okay? The other thing is being able to save, okay? Being able to put, so you're building up your emergency fund, and you do that. You get a check today, you say, I'm sending 10,000 here. You get another one, you're doing that until you get to your 9 months or your 6 months. What that allows for you to do then is to be more flexible in terms of the investments that you can make, okay? Because it will be very hard for you, say for argument's sake, to buy property in Kamulu, which you cannot liquidate when an emergency hits as quickly as you would like to. But when you build up your emergency fund, then it gives you an opportunity to get into other assets and invest in them without worrying, should something happen, what can I do? Again, save, all right? And don't spend, then save, then spend, okay? And do it in terms of percentages. So that, because you see your income is irregular. So you can't say I'll save 10,000, but you can say I'll save 20% of every money that comes into my account, okay? I'll put a limit in terms of my wants. So there's a budgeting rule, they call it the 50-30 budgeting rule. And so you can use that as framework to inform how you manage your finances. Now, it's not cast on stone, because our personal finance, I love to say, is personal, okay? We could be seated here, we are earning the same amount of money. I have 2 children, okay? One is in school, one is not. And so because of that, then how I handle my money is different from how she handles her money, even if we are earning the same amount of money. And I've lost my trail of thoughts there. Number 5 is diversify, okay? Diversify. I think when I came a little bit earlier, I had someone talking about being able, I think they were doing a recap, being able to not just do one thing, okay? So and the truth is we are multifaceted human beings, okay? And so be able to first upskill. I have to tell you, I'm always learning. And today learning has become very accessible, because a lot of what I know I've learned for free, yeah? And so you have all this at your fingertips, and so the more you learn, the more you're able to deliver better, the more you're able to get your next client, okay? Diversify also in terms of, you've built up your emergency funds, where else can I grow this money? I've seen NSC as a sponsor. Initially, you could trade exchange in lots of 100. Right now, you can buy one stock of Jubilee. Okay, so we don't have an excuse as to not diversify in terms of the investments that we are making. And there are many products out there that we could talk about, and we'll be here for a while, so perhaps we can also talk about them. Yeah, I'm hoping I've captured what came to mind. Yeah.
Absolutely. I've learned about, especially the one that you talked about, the funds, your emergency funds. I had this saying that your urgency is not my emergency. So, yes, your urgency is not my emergency. So if we are earning the same amount and somehow you've spent it all, but then because we are friends and I have something put somewhere, then we quickly come and say, but I know you have money. Why are you not giving me money? Yeah, so even the different aspects of saving, the different styles of savings, I know that is something that probably you can delve deeper into discussing with the students. And Alice will be here, so if you want to have these conversations, please do. But also some of our sponsors in that space. So their exhibition tents are outside there. You can also have a conversation on the different ways of saving and just coming up with a plan that is good for you. I don't know, Avril, do you have anything that you, especially being an entrepreneur, that you've come up with a system that you feel like works for you, especially when you have so many different things that you need to do? Then how do you focus and say, this is money for this is money for this, and not get into the mix of the dress during the party? It's an emergency.
Easier said than done.
I know.
Let's just be honest. It is very difficult to manage money, but you have to be very disciplined, especially in this space, because just like you said, irregular incomes. Yeah, Rera calls me for a gig and they pay me 300K. Wishful thinking. They pay me 300,000, but tomorrow I'm doing a club gig and they're paying me less than half of that. Yeah, and I have equipped myself to a space where I know these are my expenses. So you definitely have to think about, how much do I spend in a month? Down to lunch. Yeah? Down to lunch. I know. Kilo ya nyama ni X. This. So your expenses per day. If you have a child, you have more expenses because you have a mouth to feed. So by the time you know that in a week I need to have made X amount of money, do I have that in the bank? Do I have that in my M-Pesa? Do I have that in my M-Shwari? And again, the products nowadays are so many. There's a ZD fund from Safaricom for MMFs. And I was like, what? Juicy, I had someone talking about M-Pesa Go for teenagers. The knowledge, first and foremost, equip yourself with knowledge. And I love what you said about the personal finance should actually be, I remember during my time we had economics as a subject that everyone had to learn. Whether you want to be in the product design space, whether you want to be an architect, you had to learn, you had to have a course through economics. And I go into meetings and I tell them, price differentiation is because of this and that. And I go like, you go into board meetings when you're very, very sound, and it's not just sound, but it's an application. Because by the time I'm going to this place, there's a different rate here because the expenses that I'm incurring. I think I need to say this, by the way. Don't look at the money that you're earning. Look at the expenses that you're incurring to do that job. So as a musician, let's say I'm going to Nyeri. In fact, I'm going to Nyeri on Saturday for a performance. And they've paid me X amount of money. How much is it going to take me to fuel my car to that place? I actually break it down for clients to show them what you're paying me is not enough. You have to add X amount because I cannot cater to this to come and make for you money. Yeah? You have to have these negotiations. And I feel like negotiations in the gig economy are very essential because people don't understand the things that you go through. I have to look good. Okay. So do you guys have a makeup artist or should I? That's a cost. Even if I'm going to do it, I'm going to pay myself to do it. Is it 5 Gs? I'm going to pay myself that 5 Gs to be able to do my makeup. I have a manager. I'm going to pay him 10% commission on each and every single thing that he earns. So when you look at the big number, you're very excited. And then you go to your pocket and you're like, mbona sijatengeneza pesa na hii gig? It's because you did not look at your expenses. You didn't look at the fuel you spent to go to a place. You didn't look at what you wore. You didn't look at your makeup. You didn't look at the person you were paying. You didn't look at the bouncers who come to you and go like, mazet shole tuka kitu, you know. You didn't look at all these factors. You didn't think that, by then now we're traveling, because you feel like you have, disposable income in your pocket. Let's stop by Java and have a coffee and have lunch. 5,000 shillings later, you're like, okay, maybe that was not such a good idea. So, gig economy, it's very important to track your expenses, because you end up having nothing in your pocket and you start wondering, why am I working so hard and I have no money in my pocket? It is because you're not tracking your expenses. So for me, what has worked is exactly that. Tracking. I know to the shilling, I need to have made X amount of money this month. Start making calls. Yeah? So, and start thinking. And now that I have a personal care line, I'm thinking, what is my sales team doing? They need to have been able to sort this out. So you push your employees also to make sure that, and you push your management, you tell them, why don't we have gigs this month? Yeah? So it all comes down to, do I know how much I spend in a month? Yes. Do I know how much money is coming in? Is it able to cater for each and every single thing? And then also, I feel also equipping yourself with just knowing where your money is also going. The bank accounts, what are the expenses, the fees. I saw yesterday I was doing 3K and it's 38 shillings. I'm like, when did this happen? Yeah? So those small amounts, they account for so much. Delivery from here to town, it's 300 shillings. And then you've done like 5 in a day and you do not notice you've dropped 1,500 shillings in a day. So tracking your expenses is very important. I feel like that is what has worked for me. And also increasing income. Increasing income. The reason why I have over 7 jobs is because kila kazi kuna mahali nafaa kuna kufunika. Yeah? When I'm going on stage performing, because I'm not, investor ready, I have to be my own investor. So that means I have to work 50 times as hard so I can be able to fund my everything. I have to work 50 times as hard so my child can go to Riara. I have to work 50 times as hard so I can be able to stay at a place where, is safe, is nice, is good. I have to work 50 times as hard so that I can be able to do life. Yeah? So there's the singing, there's the acting, there's voice work, there is, in the music itself, you go and you have collaborations and you're charging for that. There are streaming opportunities. Now when we talk in the music industry, now when you come down to the music industry, you also break it. You're like, what are the DSPs going to charge to pay me? What are the distributing service providers going to pay me? How am I going to make money on stage? How am I going to make money from music licensing? How am I going to make money from influencing? How am I going to make money from, working with other people? How much am I going to make from this, from that, from this, from that? So you have to, 2 things, increase your income and also track your expenses. I feel that's what has worked for me.
Absolutely. My takeaway from that is, boy, is it okay to just hire Alice to do this for us? Are we saying that? Is that also an option?
Yes. I'm definitely looking for your book.
Because to be quite honest, not everybody can do that. We can be amazing artists, we can be amazing creatives, but when it comes to money, and we've seen it in the industry, especially in the gig economy, where you see amazing talent, but it only gets so far. And it's because of when you are the it. Yes, the money that was coming in was not invested properly. There was no proper advice. So I feel like if the Alice of our time is available, can I then contact Alice to come and maybe advise me or show me or guide me and hold my hand on what to do? Jean, very quickly, on the same, what has worked for you?
For me as well, would you mind repeating the question, please?
Absolutely. So the strategies that gig work use to manage your irregular income, how you use the strategies to plan your savings. Yeah.
I'm really, really going to echo a lot of what Avril said. You have to be really, really strategic. Like this semester, there's a unit called financial literacy, and I was so happy that that was open for everyone because I ran to take that unit, and I feel like these are units that we've been needing. It's a business course, but this semester it was open to all schools because once we learn how to make our money, we then need to learn how to save it, how to invest it, etc. So since the gig economy is very, today there's a job, tomorrow there's no job, 1 month you could have a really good job and then it's dry for 3 months, you really need to be good with your savings. As you've said, sometimes an outfit is not an emergency, but is it really not an emergency? Sometimes it could be an emergency, but yeah, you really need to know that this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm putting X and Y and Z to, and stick to that. Because if you sway, okay, you could be happy because you've earned X amount in 1 month, now unajua next month is not guaranteed, so you're balling on 1 month and then the next month it's completely dry. So whenever you get a job, you really need to know that, okay, I've gotten this now, but let me stretch it so that it covers this month, next month, and maybe even a following month. So you always need to think ahead.
So as you're thinking about the expenses, you're also thinking about how far is this going to take me? Because you're thinking about what's the next income, because it's not a guarantee.
Exactly.
So it's also not just planning for that one gig, it's planning for the next gig. All right, I get that. That's one of the toughest takeaways, because how then do you charge a client without them saying, this is too much?
It has to be part of that cost. Yes. Yeah, the cost is broken down. You have to itemize. Don't just do a rate card for the sake of doing a rate card. It has to be, this goes to this goes to this goes to the 10% goes to just in case. I'm not able to do this. So when you do that, it piles up eventually.
Yeah, and I agree with that because in my field as a model and as a content creator, sometimes someone will book you for a job, but I too actually in my rate card sometimes have to break it down because maybe if someone wants you to do a certain runway, they'll tell you do your hair this way, do your nails this way, do this, do that, and sometimes it comes up to 10,000. So if I didn't bill you, it's me who would be paying for your event, which should not be the case because if you want me to have blonde braids, give me blonde braids. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're spending money to make them money.
Exactly,
so it needs to
and
make
that
sense
shouldn't
for
be
you.
the case. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So to you, Jean, my next question would be,
yes.
As a student and professional, how have you navigated the gig economy? What opportunities and challenges have you faced so far?
Wow. So first of all, navigating both working like in the gig economy and a student is so challenging. I knew that it's going to be challenging, but I didn't realize just how challenging it would be. So for me, I'm 100% independent. So like I pay my school fees, I pay my rent, I live alone, etc. So I feel like just due to that, my mindset has to be different from the regular person who maybe is supported or lives at home. So sometimes when I come to school, it's like I'm in school and then immediately after I have to go to work or I have to do a video, I have to edit, etc. So it's just made me have to be so on the go. Like I'm here, I'm not here. I have to be very strict with my timings because if I have a shoot or something after school, that has to be done at that specific time, especially if it involves other people. And just to stress on the saving, you have to really, really, really save. You have to save, you have to think of the future. Miwa sina tukea mtu urgently because hata miwa pesa yangu, I really wait for it. Sometimes when you do a commercial, you can wait up to 3 months to be paid. So, urgent money ya mtu, as both my colleagues have said, I only have my urgent money for my emergencies.
From your current experience and your current status, if I can call it that, what would you change? Is there anything you would change? Would you say, imekuwa ngumu, let me hold off the education bit, nitengeneze pesa kidogo and then I come back? Or are you saying no? We are doing it.
I'm definitely doing it. I know that I'm in my third year right now, and I know that if I stop, it's gonna be a challenge to continue. So I started my diploma, I finished my diploma, and I had wanted to take a sem break. But then Paula, I don't know if Paula is here, she advised me not to do that. So immediately when I finished my diploma, like I graduated as I was already doing my degree. So it's like I've already gotten into that system of, okay, I know that I have to wake up every day and I don't want to change that until the end so that it doesn't change my mindset. And actually, I had worked before I started university, so I didn't come to university straight from high school. So it's like, I've done that already, so let me just work and school at the same time. Because so many people ask me, why are you in university? And I always tell them the same thing, education is just priceless. It's not me coming to school so that I can't get a job because I'm already working. If I do get a job, that's even better, like in a field that I'd want. But education isn't something that only certain people should aim to achieve. Anybody can come to school, you can come back to school at any time, and I could be coming to school just to grow myself as a person. Doesn't necessarily mean that the output has to be in favor of somebody else or somebody else's job. Because in journalism, I'm learning so much right now. Videography, editing, making magazines, documentaries, sound production, video production. It's so vast. There's just so much that I'm learning that's able to grow me as a person and me in my career.
You said something that actually Avril talked about during her talk just before we started the panel, of this thing of saying, because I'm in the gig economy, I don't need education. Hey, you need education. Don't say that Will Smith dropped out. He dropped out of which university? MIT. He was smart. So don't be dropping out of school saying that, no, I'm going to do this, I don't need education. There's something that learning, I say knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. The same way I really were talking about when you walk into boardrooms and you remember your econ class and you just give them those jargons. Yeah, it's you're speaking from a powerful place. So I want us to just maybe talk about what single advice would you give to someone entering the gig economy? And this is for all three of you. Maybe just I start with Eugene. What single advice would you give a fellow student who's working and studying at the same time?
A piece of advice that I would give to anyone who's looking to get into it is just start. I feel like I say this every single time I'm asked this question, but it's true, you really just need to start. There's no single day that you're going to wake up and feel like, now I'm ready. So if it's content, just start with the phone you have as you save for a better phone. Just start using natural light before you have lights, etc. And it's going to open so many opportunities. Like the type of brands that I've worked with right now, I never would have imagined. I've even had a brand fly me to Nigeria for a campaign, and it's just because I took that shot and I believed in myself and I decided to start. So you just need to start, you need to do it scared, because you're going to be scared. I was even scared coming up to this panel today, but here I am. Thank you. So you just have to do it. Literally just do it. You have to be your biggest cheerleader, you have to be your biggest supporter, and you have to realize that you don't have to take everything to heart. Because even me in modeling now, sometimes you go for an audition and you don't get it, and it really used to break my heart. Like, yo, siku hata sikuwa natoka kwa kitanda. And over time I realized it's not personal, because there's a specific profile of the person they want. So let's say the person that they're trying to cast is supposed to be maybe 5 feet, maybe supposed to have short hair. So I'm hot and I'm not 5 feet. I don't have short hair. So it's just a brief. The director wanted someone who looks like this and you do not look like that. So it's not personal. So you should really learn not to take those to heart. And the more times you try, the higher your chances are of getting something. So instead of trying once and giving up, if you try 10 times, maybe you'll succeed twice. So you need to try more so that your chances of succeeding also increase.
You can clap, of course.
I think I'd say no one owes you anything. Like, so what? You got a first class honors from Riara University, you know? You have to put yourself out there. You have to wake up and make those cold calls. You have your blab there, my name is Kavata, and introducing yourself, and it's like a broken record because the introduction is the same over and over and over again. But you keep doing it because no one will do it for you. Okay? And you have to also see the resource of education not as something we should all bow down to, but as a tool that you can use for your advantage, as an asset that can help you have some different income streams. I think I've also learned not to choose. There's nothing so beneath me. As long as it's within my values, I will do it. You know what I mean? Because sometimes we can be so picky, you know? No, I won't train, that's too low a payment, sijafika huko, so I'll come and train, you know what I mean? And hata nikifika, I'll still come, very true. So don't pick, cherry pick, because I have a degree from Riara University and etc. Okay, put yourself out there. I like some, she said, I read a book by Shonda Rhimes. It's a book, she calls it The High Year of Yes. And she's done this series, I'm trying to remember, I don't know, Scandal, a number of them. But it's very interesting from her story that she shares that even though she was writing these stories that are award-winning, she wanted to stay in the pantry and no one should see her. And so she'd be invited for events and she'd say no. And why I like the story is because I saw myself. Naturally, I'm very introverted. And so my tendency is to say no before I say yes. Why? Because, you should know that, I know my stuff, but no one cares about your stuff because they don't know what you know. And so you have to be able to say yes. And saying yes, I think, is not because you have all your cards lined up, but you're saying yes and you're learning as you go. The challenge I found that education has is sometimes it's death by analysis. They call it what? Paralysis because of analysis. We've been taught. So you have your business canvas model and you're writing there your key activities, key clients, key roles. And so you can do so much analysis and you don't start. Okay? So once you have your 1, 2, 3 bases covered, please start. Please go. And you will be agile, okay? Be flexible, be able to adapt as you go because it's not a straight line. I think that's what I'd say.
Okay. Thank you so much. A round of applause.
Umesema ofisi yako iko wapi? Ndakuwa nikikupigia simu sasa jamani. Where? My year of yes. This is my year of yes. Mine too. Yeah? And the reason I say that is because when I got my baby, I was just like, I have to restructure this entire career because now I'm a mom, last night I was at Alchemist performing and I'm here this morning. It's my year of yes. And I'm going to a gig tonight and I'm going to hear tomorrow. It's my year of yes. Consistency is also so important in this space. You have to show up. In fact, they've said everything. You have to show up. You have to be disciplined. You have to motivate yourself. No one is coming to clap for you. If you're that person who your mom used to keep on telling you, oh my God, you're doing a good job, Mama. You're doing a good job, Mama. You get to an age where no one is telling you good job. In fact, they're insulting you. Now they're insulting you and telling you there's nothing you know. There's nothing. So if you're not clapping for yourself and giving yourself a pat on the back for yourself, then it's going to be a very, very hard space to maneuver, because I said you are typically all entrepreneurs in this space. Flexi work. You're HOD of everything. Unless now you go here and then now at least you're getting some financial, and then now you have at least someone who's dealing with your finance. But you're HOD of everything. You're the recruiter. You're the one who's looking for people who Ama, you're actually doing everything by yourself. You're not looking for a photographer. You have to know how you're going to angle that camera and take photos for yourself, So consistency is key, and also network. Network is your net worth. You have to make friends. You have to know how to talk to people. No work is beneath you, and no one is beneath you. Yeah? I've been called for gigs because the bouncer at a club recommended me. Why? Because I just spoke nicely to this person. And they're like, by the way, Avril, si tunaweza chanim DM. I'm actually going to Qatar because of that. Because there's a bouncer who just said, you know what? And I responded to a DM. Yeah? And now in this space, you also need a lot of engagement. You have to engage, you have to engage, you have to engage. You can't sit in your small corner and say everything is going to be okay. Yeah. You have to show up, you have to show out so that people can know what you're doing. And it's not showing off.
Yeah. Yes.
It is just, guys, this is what I do. The reason why a lot of entrepreneurs right now are owning their businesses is because they've noticed, if I don't tell people my passion, no one else is going to be able to do it better than I can. Yeah? So let me talk about my journey. Let me talk about what I'm trying to solve. Let me sit here and tell guys, you know what? I saw this problem and this is what I want to be able to solve. And no one will understand your passion much more than if you tell it. Yeah? Because people will even feel the passion in your voice, in your tone, and then understand your vision way better. So show up every single day, even on those very hard days where you just feel like, I cannot do this. You have to show up. So for me, the gig economy, just like you, Mama, as in I would never have thought that I'd be seated here. I started my career when I was on that side. Yeah. Second year university, the balancing act, doing this, doing that, trying to figure out. But you have to be very intentional. Again, it goes back to intentionality. What do I want to be able to achieve? Where do I see myself in the next 5 years? And then God surprises you. Like, just because you told me you want to be here in 5 years, I'll give you even way more. Way more. This is 20 years later and I'm still doing this, and it's exciting every day. Why? Because of showing up. And the moment that I kept quiet and I goes like, I'm tired of showing up, then people are like, no, they see that you should be doing that. So yeah, you may call passionate, but you have to show up, guys. You have to.
Absolutely. That's what we are talking about. Be passionate about what you're doing. Give a round of applause to Avril. You wanted to say something in closing? Yes.
I actually had one more thing to add. When you're in the gig economy, you have to learn so many skills, like so many critical skills and also creative skills. Like often my sister usually asks me, who taught you that? And I'm like, nilijifunza tu. She's like, who taught you how to film? Who taught you how to edit? Like, najua tu. And then you also have to learn the legal side, such as contracts, etc. You really need to go through your contracts, because now that's where they really get you. And over time, I've learned that there's things that I need to look out for, and I'm very outspoken. I'm not usually scared to ask them to change this, to put what we had agreed, because sometimes they'll ask you to do something and that's what's written on the contract, or rather, let me take that again. Sometimes what you have agreed to verbally is not the same thing as what is on the contract. So they'll say, no, but tumekubaliana, but you want me to sign, put my signature against something else. So I actually experienced this once when we were about to shoot a commercial, and they were claiming that the commercial would only air for 3 months, and on the contract you're writing 1 year. If it's 3 months, write 3 months. Yeah, and then sometimes wanajaribu kukuingiza baridi, they're like, no, we'd have to call the boss. I said, call the boss. They were so shocked. Like, we had to, and I'm very polite with it as well. We had to wait for about 30 minutes for the boss to come, and we actually changed it. So one thing, if you're in the room and you don't know, Even if you write against something and both of you sign it, that counts as a contract. So don't let anyone tell you we have to go and retype it, print it. A single piece of paper, you write your name, signature, date, the other person writes their name, signature, date, and you change the terms there. That is a legal contract, and it can actually be binding. And always be outspoken. Don't let people scare you into doing things that you've not agreed to do or into changing terms that are not the case. And make sure you never sign a contract that has perpetual written on it, because that one you're bound for life. So just really, really look at your contracts. Perpetual means they're at liberty to use your content or image till the end of time. Now, me, I'm 60 and you're using my photos nikiwa 26. I don't even look like that anymore. So really, really look at your contracts. If you don't know how to do that yourself, make sure you get somebody to help you, like a lawyer or somebody in law school. If right now we're here in school, you can always look for somebody in law school. But don't take those terms lightly, because they will use your image for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. Everyone.
Sorry, I forgot to say something. And also know everything about your industry. Not just here, but what is happening out there. Because I've seen a lot of people actually becoming African pioneers of something that is happening out there. Yeah? So learn each and everything. There's an innovator who came and they were telling us, oh, I want to bring out this invention where when you just stand up, a toilet flushes, and they did not know that that invention already exists. Yeah? So when you're not keen about what's happening in your industry, then it becomes a problem for you, because when you go to talk to people and people are like, but, you know, that's already happening. You need to really learn. In my industry, for instance, I love the fact that you said things about intellectual property. There are also bodies, yeah, who represent different fraternities. Learn about them. It was so sad. We were actually at an entrepreneurship course, and I learned about this whole ministry of SMEs. And I'm like, oh, we have that. And I'm in that space. So don't never speak from a point of ignorance, because you only have yourself to blame, especially in the era of knowledge. We are in the era of knowledge where everything is here. Everything is here. ChatGPT, unauliza swali. Well, I have reservations about skewing our school of thought to only one school of thought, but at least you have a start for reasoning, yeah? Then after that, just learn and never get tired of learning. Masomo ishi university, by the way. It does not.
A round of applause for my panel. I really, really hope you've learned something today. Anyone who's about to get into business, somebody who's already in business, you're a student, you're trying to balance, you're doing the balancing act, it's possible. It's seated right in front of you. It's very, very possible. I want to quickly throw it to the audience. I want to take questions now. You are ready. I like it. Maybe we can get a mic. I'll take maybe, how much time do I have? How many questions can I take? 5 minutes. Oh, I thought you said 5 questions. I was so excited. Yes. So you said 3 questions? Okay, all right. Do we take all of them answer or one each? Okay, so we'll take all 3 and then we'll answer.
Hi everyone. Hi. My name is James Kimani from School of Business. And my question is, what has been the most rewarding gig in your career and what made it stand out? And another one, if you were to design an ideal gig platform for Kenyan artists, how would it look like?
Last question? Oh, that's it.
Okay, so I have a question.
There's someone at the back. Can we get one from the back as well?
I just asked, okay,
yes.
Sorry, this is my question. My first question goes to Ms. Jean and Avril. How do you balance brand partnership with authentic content that resonates with you and your values? And my second question goes to Ms. Alice. How do you handle business side contracts, taxes, while managing multiple revenue streams? I repeat. Yes, please. All the questions are just yours. All the questions. Okay, sorry. How do you balance brand partnership with authentic content that resonates with your audience and your values? And my second question was, how do you handle the business side contracts, taxes, while managing multiple revenue streams?
So the last question? Oh, that's it.
No, there are more questions from the back. We will take. We'll add 2 more questions for anyone else, so that we don't lock anyone else who had a
I
question.
still have time. I'm good for time.
Yes, you do, but
All
not
right.
much.
Okay. All right.
Hello, everyone. My name is George Kimani from Business School. And first of all, ni 1 term ama ni 2 term? My question goes to Miss Jean and Miss Avril. How independent, transparent, and fair is the gig economy to rising talents? Thank you.
Please repeat that louder a bit.
How independent, transparent, and fair is the gig economy to the rising talents? Thank you.
The last one?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Emmanuel Obingo, School of International Relations on Point 1. My question is for Miss Avril. I'm a big fan. Nice to see you. So the question is, you've talked about many important things like discipline, consistency, showing up. And so my question is, where does luck come in all this, or do you make your own luck? Thanks.
Have the last question.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Stacy from School of Business. I have a question for all of you. I had many questions actually, but most of you have spoken, like the 3 of you have really spoken well. So my remaining question is, if you were to redesign the gig economy to be fair and more supportive to the creatives, how would you do it, and what would be the first thing that you would change? Thank you.
All right, thank you. Pauline, you can go on.
Okay. All right. I know there are many questions, so feel free, anyone who's ready to answer. And then we can keep it very, very brief.
I think there was a question around taxes and different revenue streams. If you're running your business as an individual, so you don't have a registered business, then it means you have to file, you're liable for individual income tax, which you file before the 30th of June of the following year. So if you've made money, say in 2025 from January to December, you make sure you file your returns before 30th of the following year, say 2026. Now, the importance of tracking your expenses, and remember we said separating your business from yourself, is because what you're taxed is on net income. So I was paid by Riara University 100,000. I incurred transport costs and all those costs. Your tax is on the net income as an individual, okay? If you have registered your business, then you're liable for corporate tax. If you have invested, say, in things like treasury bills and bonds, it's automatic. There's withholding tax, that's 15%. If it's money markets, I think it's at the same 15%. If it's the bonds, it's 15% for the first 10 years. If it's a 10-year bond tenure, beyond that, it's 10%. If it's infrastructure bond, it does not attract any taxes. The important thing is to be aware. Now, you don't have to know all of it, but the information is there. On the KRA website, you'll find information. If it's for MMF, they will tell you the charges and whatever taxes you're liable to. I think that's what I'm ready for. Yeah. Okay.
Hi, so I'm going to address the 3 questions. The first was, if I was to redesign the gig economy, what I would do. I would make it such that the payments come in quicker, because sometimes the payment takes so long. I know that there's a whole structure that needs to be followed, but 3 months is way too long. Maybe up to 1 month is acceptable, but I would definitely hope that there gets to a point when we're able to be paid quicker. And then how I balance my brand work with my authentic self is that I usually make sure my content looks like a Jean video. I don't usually do anything that makes someone question, na imetoka wapi? Even before now I introduce the product, I just make it seem how all my other videos would look like. I always like to do very fashion-y, model-y videos. So even with my brand content, I usually incorporate the brand into my content and not vice versa. And the question on how fair is the gig economy, I don't think it's very fair, to be honest. I think it's the best one gets it, because there's so many people who are doing the same thing you're doing. There's so many people who are talented. There's so many people who are charging less than you are. But you just have to keep showing up. As Avril said, once again, you need to network. Because for me as well, I just usually get calls every single month this year. I just get a call and it's like, oh, we got your number from so and we want to do this and this with you. So you really, really need to be good at your job, because that's what is going to lead people to recommend you. Because if you do bad work, no one is going to recommend you. So you really need to be good, and it's a very competitive field. So you just need to learn how to stand out.
Okay, quite a number of questions. What would an ideal event be for artists? Fair rates, proper backstage things sorted out, rate cards, and what do you call them? There's these things usually technical riders, appreciated. But I feel we've come a long way. We've come a long way as a creative space, where now the people who are the pioneers of the industry are now the stakeholders of the industry. So by the time I'm going to talk to an event promoter like Fakili Wali, for instance, who is one of the biggest promoters in the country, he already knows what to expect, when a technical rider is coming. The sound is going to be on point, things are going to be on point, but also advocate for yourself. Yeah? And this also goes back to how would I redesign the gig economy to be fair. Hakuna fairness kama uongei. Yeah? Because if I speak for myself and I say, I'd love to have a changing room before the performance, and you don't ask for it, they assume you're okay. So it's just a matter of talking. Na siku jipiga kifua kusema I deserve this. Because again, we have a certain entitlement. I love what you said about nothing is beneath you. Entitlement, unfortunately, is a killer of your career. Yeah? Because many times we do not actually deserve some of the things that we get, but because the person who is on the other side just wants to give you a good time, it provides for the things that you provide. Because unaenda job, who says you're supposed to be given lunch at work? I'm paying you, go and buy yourself lunch or carry packed lunch. But because I'm in this space and I know how I struggled at a certain time, I'm going to provide it for you. That's the reason why on sets you'll find, there's a buffet, there's this and that, because now the stakeholders in the industry, the people who are there, and they experience this thing, so they're like, you know what, I'm going to be fair. But advocate for yourselves, guys. You're the ones to change. I am running because Amani crawled. Yeah? Yeah? So things continue changing. And also, what is your contribution to the industry that you're in? Are you going to create policy? I mean, we were in Parliament asking for music policy. We were like, why is it that we're still such a Juakali sector space? Because we're not advocating for laws. We're not asking, what are you using our taxes for? Because by the time Safaricom is paying for Skiza tunes, and then my distributor, or rather the person who's getting my music to Safaricom is also being taxed, and then I also need to pay a tax on what. But you see, they can't know that this is a problem until you talk about it. So what is your voice also in your industry? Are you legally represented? Just the way you start a business, you're supposed to have a company secretary, you are the CEO, and then you also need an accountant, and you need a lawyer. Think about that in that aspect. You can even ask, I go back to, by the Akicha GPT Mutumia, go acting as an expert lawyer. Please review this contract for me. Yeah? please review this contract for me and tell me where the loopholes are and what I need. And that's free for you, right? Then you're able to see, oh, this is going to be a problem, or this is going to be a problem. Can you give me a suggestion of how I'm going to be able to sort this out? And they do. And the app does. So using AI, I feel like you guys don't know what you. Hey, we suffered. We crawled so that you can run. Yeah? But again, the tools available for you, the apps out here, there are so many apps out here that can be able to, change your mindset and also just make life easier for you. There was a question about what's the most rewarding event that I ever did. I think all my events have been rewarding because I get to meet people, different people, and now I'm in this transitionary phase where I'm not just performing for millennials, I'm not just performing for Gen Zs. My son will come to me and go like, Mama, your song, it was being played in school. And I was like, what? Yeah, being called on stage, and I'm like, guys, that's the reason why I sat at the back. I don't want. Yeah? But there's so many moments. I performed in India for like an Indian crowd, and that was really dope. Monetarily, I performed for the tulikuwa tunachambua the constitution and edutainment. We were trying to make people understand the constitution, the current constitution that we're in. And I feel like that was such a rewarding event. Why? Because we had to break the understanding of the constitution to a normal mwananchi. Kumwambia, by the way, when you ambia education, you don't want to go to school, how would you be able to understand how to be able to disseminate the constitution, make it understandable to that 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old to go and explain to their parent and tell them, but Papa, you need to go and vote because of this and this and this. So I feel like that, the committee of experts was one of the most rewarding events. And then we were paid nicely, guys. Kona lifa na bahasha unatoka hapo kwa zile za haki nikipatikana tu saa hizi. It's a wrap. But there've been so many rewarding events. Again, it goes back to your network is your net worth. Your last gig, is what informs your next gig. Yeah? How you treated people on set. Yeah? How you were talking to people on set. Because it goes down to values. And I love, now I'm going to go back to that question about brand and values alignment. There's a lady who asked, it's from the onset, mommy. It's from the onset. If this is the type of person that you want to be, or the kind of brand that you want. I remember in marketing class, we were taught about, I think it's also a communications thing. And that's the reason why we have PR agencies, because they create your public relations. How are you going to be able to relate to other people? And it has to come from, what do you want to represent? Yeah? I don't advocate for this, so I'm not going to talk about it. Even a client comes to me and tells me, you have 20 million on the table. Start an OnlyFans page. I am not going to do it because it's not aligning with my values, with what I would love to portray, who brand Avril is. So you have to be very clear about the brand that you want to create. Is it going to be a religious brand? Is it going to... And it's actually brilliant that you brought this up, because I was asked at some point in time, so you're an influencer. What type of influencer are you? What type of influencer are you? They're saying, oh, multi-skilled, but a jack of all trades and a master of none. I know it continues, but you have to at least know that I strive in this. Let me try and see how I can be able to make this work. So brand and values, it all starts with you. How independent? So 1 term, 2 term, 3 term, 4 term, 5 term. Mimi sitaongea mengi. How independent is the gig economy, the rising currents? I know you're talking about the political space that we're in right now, where we have creators who are losing equipment because of saying one thing or the other. And I feel like this is a global thing right now. Because didn't we just see Jimmy Kimmel the other day, his show being pulled from Disney because of what he was saying? We're living in a very delicate time, and opinions are definitely going to be thrown everywhere. But I feel like can't silence people with what they want to say. So long as you say it respectfully, you'll always find a space. You'll always find a space. So how independent is the gig economy? It's as independent as you want it to be. Yeah? Because I still watch each and every single morning people having those conversations about, so is this working? Is this not working? Is this working? Is this not working? But they say it in a way that, anyway, you call yourself for a meeting and go like, okay, this person actually made a point. And TikTok, oh my God, I learned so much from TikTok, from your generation, because you guys are so interested in knowledge and it's such a beautiful thing to see. So don't be scared. Don't be scared. I'm not scared. I say what I need to say. If I see police brutality, I'll post it. And I go like, guys, is this okay? But then again, you have to know how to put out the conversation. Yeah? We are millennials. We have trauma of how we've lived our childhood. So we're not very vocal. But you guys, you know, we are your parents. So we've shown you that you can talk, you can express yourselves. Freedom of expression, yes. But freedom after expression, that is where the question is. Yeah? So let's learn. Let's employ wisdom. Let's employ wisdom a lot. Let's employ wisdom. If we need to go to the streets, we are very much allowed. But what happens after? Yeah? And we have so many channels out here that we can be able to utilize, that we can spread the message. We are called all the time. These people sit down and like, what do we do to get the young people to vote? And say this and say that. And we always go back to, you can't control people. You can't control uninformed people. They have to have the school of thought for this and that. But then I implore you guys that independence does not mean being disrespectful. Yeah? Hey. Kuna mtu anarecord hapa hii conversation, my God. Yeah? But honestly, I feel like we are in a beautiful space of expression. Let's just know that we need to have freedom of expression later.
Absolutely.
Yeah? I have another question that I was asked here. Do you have to experience a 9 to 5 so that you can be able to... Oh, you want to answer that? No, please do. Nimeongea sana, I feel like. But I feel like... No, oh, yeah?
We've gone into the next session, but
Yeah.
you want to...
Can she answer that? Because I think I've...
But very, very quickly, before I'm thrown out of this stage.
Wait a second, I remembered it. I think in the finance space, it's a yes and no. Yes, because if you don't have the experience, your journey is longer. Okay? Because you're going to talk about financial assets that you have not experienced. And you need to build trust, and that takes time. You can reduce that time by getting into employment. But the decision is yours. It doesn't mean you can't. The other way to fill in for those gaps is then to create networks and build relationships with people in that industry that allows you to accelerate your process or your journey. Yeah.
Guys, we cannot exhaust it all today, but these guys are here. Avril is still here, Alice is still here, Jean is still here. Have a brief conversation with them before they go. Again, they are busy people. Remember, they are multi-skilled. So they have gigs to get to. Please engage with them as well. As we leave, Avril promised something as we are departing. So she's going to deliver that promise very quickly as we depart. But thank you so much. Please, a big round of applause for my panel. You've been absolutely amazing. My name is Pauline. Thank you so much.
So can we be upstanding? Can we be upstanding? Tumeketi sana, si ndio? Yeah? There's no mixer, DJ here, so we're just going to have a nice freestyle, okay? And then you're going to help me sing, okay? Sawa sawa? Hey Maria, vipi nakwambia, kuna Charlie anaangalia, mina Avril tukaenda msalimia, akatupa shoti za tequila, huyu Charlie kaanza kukatia, eti body zetu zinafanya nini, tukapanga vile kumkimbia, tukaenda lu, mina beshe yangu tumepanga, kazi yetu sini, Charlie hunipati after party. Mina beshe yangu tumekuja klabu, Charlie hunipati taipati. Oh, 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 oh. Tumekuja chokoza, usidhani umepata nafasi. Oh, tumekuja chokoza. Maboy mnaweza imba pia, ni sawa tu. Wewe Charlie usi. Oh, when I smile at you. Oh, when I dance with you, don't mean I want to get freaky with you. Ati twende nyumbani. When Charlie hebu wacha ufalawe, mini skati. Oh, songa mbali, don't you see that you are? I've got my own, my job, my cash. ETC, tafadhali nipe heshima yangu one more time. Tumekuja chokoza, usidhani nimepata nafasi. Oh, 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 tumekuja chokoza, usidhani nimepata nafasi. Nimeambiwa nimepata chokoza ingine ati ya majenzi hapa hivi. Inaenda kitu simple, nimekam na hela, naweza kukufund kama hauna wera, chocha mingi mbona unanikera. Do you know that one? You do. Ili toka last week kama ni lini. Thank you so much darling. Ati sipandi Uber, nijazie ndai. Sindio? Thank you so much guys. My name is Avril and I hope to come back here so we can actually have a proper performance, yeah?
A round of applause for Avril tafadhali.